Hobie Cat sailing can be serene or fast-paced and exciting. As amateurs and professional crews gather from around the world to test their sailing and racing skills, we join them in the historic and stunning town of Santa Barbara, California. Sailing and the Hobie Cat lifestyle are explored on this stop along the Adventure Highway. Since the beginning of history, sailing has been a means of exploration, of commerce, and of course, recreation. Yet modern-day sailing can become very expensive, so we wanted to find a way of staying involved in this sport without having to spend too much money. Hi, I'm Tom Holm. On this episode of Adventure Highway, we've come to the beautiful city of Santa Barbara, California to visit a unique sailing event to find out how Hobie Cats can be used not only in competition, but for maintaining an inexpensive lifestyle filled with the joy of sailing. Santa Barbara is located about 90 miles north of Los Angeles along Highway 101, also called Ventura Highway, made famous by the classic song by the rock group America. After leaving LA's congested freeways, the drive opens up and includes an impressive mountain pass filled with rock outcrops and often blooming wildflowers. The height of the pass reveals the fertile agricultural plains of Oxnard and Ventura and provides your first glimpse of the Pacific Ocean. North of Ventura, you can exit the 101 and continue along an even more spectacular route. On the way up to Santa Barbara, I like exiting Highway 101 and coming down to Old State Highway 1 because it runs right along the beach. I can watch the guys surfing and kite surfing. It's a much more beautiful ride and I'm right on the water. The road to Santa Barbara includes amazing scenery. I suggest you make some stops to take some time and really enjoy it. Impressive views include crashing waves, rugged coastlines, and views of Santa Cruz Island. If you have the time, you can even camp right on the water. Vivid images of nature's relentless power contrast with tranquil and vibrant landscapes as the drive to Santa Barbara culminates near its harbor at Ledbetter Beach. Here I joined a nomadic tribe of passionate sailors who gathered to continue their devotion to a lifestyle dedicated to fun, camaraderie, and of course, sailing catamarans.
I enjoy catamaran sailing tremendously because you get to go on a high-speed craft that you extract the energy from the wind to make this Formula One speedster across the water at speeds that a lot of powerboats can't even go that fast.
The Hobie Cat was invented by Hobie Alter back in, actually, it was 1968 when the Hobie 14 came out.
In 1971, the Hobie 16 was invented, which is 2 feet longer. 2 people got on the boat, and it was 2 sails. And that way, they found that they could do it with a husband and a wife, and a father and a son, and a mother and a daughter. So the family started getting involved.
Right now, the Hobie 16 is the most popular one-design class catamaran in the world. There's about 130,000 worldwide. The Hobie 17 came out in 1980, and that was a single-hand boat. Basically, it was a bigger single-hand boat to kind of replace the 14. After that, we've got the Hobie 20 in 1990, then followed by the Hobie 21 Sport Cruiser. The Hobie Tiger came in 1995. It was originated in Europe. First one landed in the U.S. in 2000. The Tiger, which is Hobie Cat's entry into the Formula 18 world, is the dominant boat in Formula 18, and it's really taken off here in North America.
As it became fun to go in different places and do different events and get-togethers, and people would come to beaches just like this one and bring their trucks down and their RVs and their Volkswagen campers and get together, and they'd race during the day, and at night they'd sit around the campfire and party and have fun, and it became kind of a way of life that every weekend this group of Hobie catters would do that.
It seems that worldwide every yottie's fun to be with. Everyone likes to have a party, a few drinks, and yeah, it's very sociable.
People continue even to this day to collect in different places, get their boats together, get their families together, race hard during the day and party hard at night, and that is really what the Hobie way of life is all about.
Getting started in catamaran sailing can be very easy. For me, I wanted to start with the best. So I met with Ron Lane, owner of Fast Lane Sailing in San Diego, California.
When you pick a boat, make sure that you have that dream in your head. What do I really want to be doing? Do I want to be, out there by myself, getting away from it all, or do I want to have my family with me? Once you've got it, then you get hooked up with a guy that can teach you how to use that boat properly. You'll spend very little money learning how to do it the right way, but you're going to get a benefit of all his knowledge. When I teach somebody to rig a boat and to sail off the beach, there's ways to talk about wind and ways to think about it. One of the ways is I like to visualize a big clock with 12 o'clock always facing towards the wind. When you leave the beach, you have to assess, can I even do that? Can I sail that direction and then tack over? So you have to have a flight plan. Just like a pilot would go through his checklist first, then you would pick out your direction, then you set your sails with a flight plan. You'll want to set it up to where you know where the wind's coming from, and you know the angles that your boat can sail at, and you know how long it takes to get the rudders down and to get started. You'll want to do that ahead in your mind, so you have it all in order, so that you're not on the boat and all of a sudden go, oops.
With Ron's great teaching skills, within a day I was sailing solo. Although still nervous, I was anxious to learn more.
When people get started sailing, it's kind of scary. They have a whole language of their own. You got ropes that are called halyards, you got sheets, you got all these terms, and it's kind of intimidating at first, but it doesn't really matter because you can just grab the thingamajig and go.
When we come back, we'll see the competitive side of catamaran sailing here on Adventure Highway. Adventure Highway is brought to you by Honda, the company that defines performance in motorcycles, scooters, ATVs, and personal watercraft. Honda, performance first. By West Marine, we make boating more fun. By Zodiac, maker of boats and life rafts with the air of adventure and the #1 choice of professionals the world over. And by New Vision Financial. Ready to start your adventure? Get pre-approved for a low-rate loan at newvisionfinancial.org. New Vision Financial. We make fun affordable.
This May, the eyes of the psycho genes.
Welcome back to Adventure Highway. I'm your host, Tom Holm, in Santa Barbara, California. Sometimes winds can become too strong to safely sail catamarans, leaving boats high and dry, on shore, and crews anxiously awaiting for conditions to improve before venturing into the water. This time is sometimes spent just relaxing or playing games to take your mind off sailing, but when a competition is pending, it's mostly spent preparing equipment for upcoming races. While the sailors prepare their boats during these gusty winds, let's talk about getting gear for catamaran sailing.
When getting gear for sailing, first thing you're going to need is a boat. This is a Hobie Tiger. Great boat, fun technical boat to sail. Once you have your boat, you're also going to need some sailing gear. Life jacket is important. We wear sailing gloves, as well as a trapeze harness that hooks on for hanging off the side of the boat and holding the boat down. We also wear sometimes spray suits, wet suits, or dry suits, depending on the weather conditions. We wear Lycra inner liners, There's dry suits, there's several different types of suits, but a nice lightweight spray suit is a nice thing. Every boat has basically the same components. This is the rudder. This is basically your steering. This is like the front wheels of your car. This is where we drive a boat. To drive the boat, we go up here to our, what we call a tiller. This is like our steering wheel. This is all of our driving. We steer the boat with the tiller and the rudders, and it's what allows us to sail. After that, we get to the main sheet, which is similar to our throttle. Our motor is the sail, and this is what allows us to power up or depower the sailboat. The mesh surface here is the trampoline. This essentially is our platform that we are able to go to and from each side of the boat and work all the lines and all that. We also have trapezes. I showed you the trapeze harness earlier. This is what we hook onto a hook, and we literally hike off the side of the boat with a hook. That helps us hold the boat down when we sheet in and power it up. We have a forward sail, which is our jib. Some boats have jibs, some don't. Just depends on what type of boat it is. Of course, we have our hulls. This particular hull is 18-foot hull for the Tiger. It's a high-performance hull. Again, they come in many shapes and sizes in the Hobie lineup. This is what we call a dagger board. This is similar to the rudders, however, it doesn't move or steer. What it does is we slide it down into this slot here, and it actually protrudes out of the bottom of the boat this much. And what it does is it creates a lateral resistance to the water and helps us sail the boat upwind. This is what we call a spinnaker snuffer. This allows us to put the spinnaker up and down very easily on the boat where we don't have to handle it or touch it. And in catamaran sailing, you're going very fast. You have a small deck to deal with, different than monohull sailing, so you don't have a lot of time to deal with it. One thing to remember is this is a Hobie Tiger. This is the pinnacle of cat sailing. This is a racing boat with lots of different strings, bells and whistles to make it go fast. There's a whole range of entry-level boats that are much simpler, easy to learn to sail. If you go down to the beach, you see somebody on a boat, ask them where they got their boat, go to their local sail shop. And sailing's a great sport, it's a lot of fun, it's good to get into, and this is the gear you need to do it.
Catamaran sailing is something that can be enjoyed by yourself or with friends. Its equipment is simple and easy to learn to use, and is fun and safe enough for the entire family to stay involved with. The exhilaration you get from catching a gust of wind and slicing across the water is an exciting and amazing experience. There's nothing like getting on the water and letting a gust of wind push you along. Hobie cats are easy to trailer, and transporting them is easy, enabling you to spend more time on the water enjoying sailing with your friends or on solo cruises. When we return, we head back to Santa Barbara, where strong gusty winds add to the excitement of the Hobie Cat races here on Adventure Highway.
Next all new tread. RS.
Welcome back to Adventure Highway. I'm your host Tom Holm at the Hobie Races in Santa Barbara, California. Although the winds were still gusting and conditions were challenging, the races were about to begin. So many of the crews got their boats out on the water and started making their way to the starting line. But what takes place during these races? Let's find out from some of the experts.
Catamaran racing, basically what the whole premise of it is just like any sailboat race, that you get out on the water, you have a fleet of boats. This fleet of boats happens to all be one design boat, so all the boats are identical.
We have a series of races, and we have a starting boat and we have a finish line. And in between that whole thing, we have laps that we do around a course. Sometimes it's 2, sometimes 3, sometimes 4 laps around a course.
The committee boat will set out in the water and face into the wind, and then they'll have what we call a weather mark, and about 1 mile or 2 miles up into the wind. And they also set a line perpendicular to that committee boat and that weather mark, which they call the starting line.
We're all set up on the line. We're waiting for horns. We're waiting for flags. We don't know what the course is 5 minutes before the start.
The boats are all lined up and ready to go. And here they go. They're all jockeying for position. If they cross that line too soon, they have to double back.
Right at the time that the gun goes off or the start, they take off and zigzag upwind to get to that starting mark.
The start of a race is absolutely critical. In a big fleet like this with 80+ boats out, you cannot recover from a bad start.
You've got 90 boats jockeying for position on a line that's not big enough for everybody. So you have to be on the front line if you're going to do something.
When they get to that starting mark, they round, and then they come back downwind and come between two gates and go between those gates and then back up to the starting mark again and up to the weather mark and back down in the finish.
We always start a race going into the wind, and we will probably always finish these races going downwind. We have spinnakers on the boat, and we really like kind of downwind sailing. That's where the big thrill for us is.
Every time they run one of those races, they keep track of the score. The first person getting the lowest score, a 1, and the furthest person, in this case, 88 boats, would get 88 points, and everybody in between.
While sailing in Santa Barbara is incredibly beautiful, this extraordinary town is filled with many treasures, including Fess Parker's Doubletree Resort. One side of this property has magnificent mountain views and lush gardens. As I drove in, I was overwhelmed by ocean breezes and fragrant scents from tropical flowers. The Fess Parker Doubletree Resort is right across the street from the ocean and has a very accommodating staff willing to help grant almost any request. Good spot? This property has grand architecture and a lobby built to massive scale. Yet the rooms are bright, comfortable, and relaxing. The resort's huge pool is protected from the wind and is a great place to relax and eat in between walks or bike trips to the beach. The Doubletree's restaurant, as well as many of its rooms, have fantastic ocean views. Another great location in Santa Barbara with incredible views is the dining room of the El Encanto Hotel. Stop in at the El Encanto in the evening to witness a unique view of a beautiful sunset over Santa Barbara. To find out more about the resorts and restaurants we visit on our show, check out our website at www.adventurehighway.com. When we return, a local craftsman shares his knowledge of Santa Barbara's vibrant and diverse art scene before we dine at one of the area's great restaurants. Adventure Highway is brought to you by Honda, the company that defines performance in motorcycles, scooters, ATVs, and personal watercraft. Honda, performance first. By West Marine, we make boating more fun. By Fess Parker's Doubletree Resort, Santa Barbara's premier waterfront resort. And by New Vision Financial. Ready to start your adventure? Get pre-approved for a low-rate loan at newvisionfinancial.org. New Vision Financial. We make fun affordable. Santa Barbara is famous for its world-class restaurants. While vacationing here, make sure you take a short drive over to the Four Seasons Biltmore in neighboring Montecito. The Biltmore has one of the best Sunday brunches in the world. Plus dinner at the La Marina restaurant is equally amazing. Large windows overlook the ocean, and everything, including the food, decor, and service, are the best that can be provided. A large wine selection of local as well as international varieties wonderfully complement the masterful courses served by Chef Jesse Olson.
Good evening, Ray and Tom. For our starters this evening, we have an heirloom tomato and mozzarella terrine served with a braised artichoke heart and with a little bit of microgreens. And we also have in a martini glass, smoked salmon martini served with corn panna cotta on the bottom, crispy wontons, and American sterling caviar on top.
Thanks, Jesse.
Okay? Looks great. Enjoy.
Thanks a lot.
Well, I see that you've been served your entrees. Let me explain a little bit what you have here. You have a Chilean sea bass with roasted pepper fondue on top and served on a bed of English peas and fresh chanterelle mushrooms and stuffed artichokes and a little bit of squash blossoms on there, all served with a corn coulis, and it's all inside of a potato cage. And Tom, you have a prime beef tenderloin served with blackberry compote and seared foie gras, a little bit of truffle fingerling potatoes, and haricot verts on there. Enjoy.
Nice, Jesse. Thank you.
After a day of sailing, there's nothing better than an innovative and delicious meal. And in Santa Barbara, there's no better place to enjoy such a meal than the historic and beautiful Biltmore Resort. To find out more about the Biltmore and any of the locations we visit, check out our website at adventurehighway.com. Santa Barbara's rich past should be explored, starting with its mission, the only one with twin bell towers. Also, the Natural History Museum displays amazing artifacts of the area. Also important to Santa Barbara is its rich art community.
The reason that a lot of artists like to come to Santa Barbara is because it's so beautiful. They call it home because it's such an open community, really accepting of the arts and the creativity that people have. This has been my family's home for over 100 years. I'm a fifth generation Santa Barbara and trying to follow in the steps of everyone else in my family as far as being creative and being active in the community. Santa Barbara has a lot of galleries. There's the Santa Barbara Art Museum, which has some really great collections coming through there. The Crafts Fair every Sunday down on Cabrillo Boulevard has some really good artists. A lot of those people, that's their full-time job. All they do is make their craft and then sell it on Sundays down on the beach, which is a lot of fun for people to come and check that out too.
The amazing sport of sailing is one that can be enjoyed out on the open water by having a nice leisurely day with your friends and family and taking in the sun. Or, as you've seen by these sailors, it can be very fast-paced and competitive. Either way, by starting on a Hobie Cat, you can get involved very inexpensively and start enjoying the sport right away. We have had a fantastic time here in the beautiful town of Santa Barbara and hope that you've enjoyed it. And we hope to see you on our next stop along the Adventure Highway.